Look, after years in this industry, I've seen pretty much every mistake in the book. Here are the top 10 blunders that keep coming up, and honestly, they're all avoidable if you know what to watch for. Risk management as an afterthought. Listen up, because this one's doozy. You know what keeps me up at night? Companies treating risk management like it's some sort annoying paperwork they'll deal with eventually. Yeah, right, after they finish their coffee and scroll through LinkedIn for the 5th time today. Picture this. You've spent months designing your fancy new medical device, and everything is perfect. Ergonomics are beautiful, the functionality is like, chef's kiss, and marketing's already dreaming up catchphrases. Then some poor soul from quality pipes up. Guys, what about the risk assessment? And suddenly everyone's looking around like they just heard the printer speak Swedish. Seriously? This isn't like forgetting to add sprinkles to your ice cream sundae, people. We are talking here about medical devices that go inside human bodies. Here's what happens when you treat risk management like a last-minute homework assignment. Your engineers have to redesign everything because nobody thought about failure modes. Your documentation looked like it was written by a caffeinated squirrel. Your regulatory submission gets kicked back faster than a bad Tinder profile. And worst of all, you might actually hurt someone. Want to know how the pros do it? They integrate risk management from day one. I'm talking risk assessment meetings before the first CAD file is even opened. Design reviews that sounds like a game of what's the worst that could happen. Failure mode and effects analysis that would make NASA proud. Cross-functional teams where quality isn't treated like the party pooper. See this? This is your project timeline. And the red dot here, that's where the most companies start thinking about risks. Now look at all these explosion symbols before it. Those are the places you should have been thinking about risks. Here's the real kicker. It's actually easier when you do it right from the start. Mind-blowing, I know! Instead of trying to retrofit safety features into your finished design like some kind of medical device Jenga, you build them in naturally. Pro tips for not screwing this up. Make risk management your morning coffee companion. Get your whole team involved. Yeah, even Bob from accounting. Document, like, everything. Imagine your FDA audit is tomorrow, so document everything. Question every assumption like a toddler who just learned the word why. Update your risk files more often than your social media status. Let's remember, in Medtech manufacturing, risk management isn't just another task. It's the foundation everything else sits in. Treat it like an afterthought, and you might as well be building a house on a quicksand, while juggling chainsaws blindfolded. Now, speaking of things that keep regulatory affairs up at night, let's talk about mistake number 2. Messy supply chain management. Oh boy, buckle up, buttercup, because we're about to dive into the chaos theory of medical device manufacturing, supply chain management, or as I like to call it, why having only one supplier is like having only one pair of underwear. Well, picture this. You got this amazing device ready to change lives. Everything's perfect until your one supplier for that critical electronic component sends you email of doom. Sorry, 12 months back order. Congratulations! You've just joined the My Revenue Flatline because I didn't have a backup plan club. Membership benefits include panic attack, angry investors, and that twitch in your left eye that never actually quite goes away. Let me paint you a picture of 2 companies. Company A. Our supplier is great, they send us Christmas cards. Company B. We've got 3 qualified suppliers, regular audits, and a supply chain manager who sleeps with a risk mitigation plan under their pillow. Guess which one isn't having emergency board meetings right now? True story. I once met a CEO who said, "We trust our suppliers completely." You know what happened next? Their main supplier got acquired out by a competitor. And suddenly, their trusted partner was ghosting them harder than, your bad Tinder date. Here's your supply chain survival guide. The trust but verify rule. Audit your suppliers like they're teenagers asking to borrow your car. If they say, "Trust us," that's your cue to trust them less. Documentation or it didn't happen, people. The backup plan. 1 is none, 2 is 1, 3 is starting to look professional. Qualify alternative suppliers before you need them. Different suppliers should be in different geographic regions because apparently natural disasters don't coordinate their schedules with your production timeline. The quality agreement. If it's not unwritten, it doesn't exist. Make it more detailed than your mother's lasagna recipe. Include change notification requirements that would make the FDA blush. We made a tiny change to the material, no big deal. And that's how we ended up with 1,000 devices that self-destruct like Mission Impossible props. Listen, I get it. Managing multiple suppliers is about as fun as a root canal during tax season. But you know what is less fun? Less fun would be to explain to your board why production is stopped because your one and only supplier decided to take an extended vacation in February. Now, your don't mess this up checklist. Regular supplier audits and no Zoom calls don't count. Qualification of multiple suppliers. Robust quality agreements. Change notification requirements. Regular performance reviews. Contingency plans for when things go sideways. And they will. Let's remember, a supply chain is like a relationship. If you're not constantly working on it, checking up on it, and planning for the future, you'll end up alone with a warehouse full of incomplete devices and a lot of explaining to do. Hey, I'm Lisa Voronkova, founder of Ova Solutions. We're a Medtech development company that helps startups and companies build FDA-approved medical devices. I'm a PhD and a bioengineer with over 10 years of experience turning complex medical device ideas into real products. We mostly focus on orthopedics, wearable, and complex medical devices, like heavy equipment. My team and I have successfully launched 156 products. Think of us as the engineering team who can take your medical device from idea to the production line. Now, let's get back to the topic. Speaking of explaining things, wait until you hear about mistake number 3. Forgetting about the human element. Look at this beauty here. Titanium finish, quantum processor, probably makes coffee too. The engineers who designed it are probably still patting themselves in the back. And here's Sarah. She's trying to figure out how to turn the damn fucking thing on at 3 a.m. while juggling 3 other patients and running on nothing but coffee and determination. Congratulations, you've just created the medical device equivalent of a Rubik's Cube crossed with a fighter jet cockpit. Sure, it will win design awards, right up until someone tries to actually use it in the real world. It's simple. You just press the blue button while holding down the red level, enter your password in Sanskrit and dance the Macarena. Let me tell you about 3 stages of bad user design. Denial. They'll figure it out. Anger. Why aren't they using it right? Reality. Oh god, what have we done? You know what real healthcare looks like? Gloves 3 sizes too big. Alarms beeping from 6 different directions. That one light that's been flickering for 3 months, and someone just coded in room 7. And you want them to remember your device 17 steps startup sequence? Bad design. Let's add another submenu and a touchscreen and gesture controls versus good design. This big green button will save life. Period. Real footage from our usability studies. Doctor trying to use device while getting paid every 30 seconds. Nurse wearing 3 pairs of gloves in isolation room. Technician working in dim lighting because maintenance never fixed that blur. Surgeon with hands covered in, well, you got the picture. Here is the cold, hard truth. Your device isn't being used in some pristine lab with perfect lighting and well-rested operators. Instead, it's being used at 3 a.m. by someone who's been on their feet for 12 hours and just got yelled at by 3 different patients. The don't be needed design checklist. Get users involved early. Not your cousin who's a nurse, not the marketing team pretending to be doctors. Actual users. Test in realistic conditions. Bad lighting, noise, interruptions, multiple layers of PPE. Pure chaos. Design for the worst case. Sleep-deprived user, emergency situation, multiple distractions, Mercury in retrograde, maybe. If your device can't pass the drop everything and use it now test, it's not ready, period. Clear, obvious controls, tactile feedback, visible indicators, intuitive workflow, error-proof connections, and for the God's sake, no tiny gray text on lightly less gray backgrounds. Please. Remember, the best device in the world is useless if people can't or won't use it. And your users, they are not stupid. They are busy, they are stressed, they are trying to save lives. Make their jobs easier, not harder. See this shelf? It's full of technically brilliant devices that nobody could figure out how to use. We call it the Museum of Great Ideas, Terrible Execution. Please don't let your device end up here. Speaking of things that end up on shelves gathering dust, let's talk about mistake number 4. Cutting corners on process validation. Oh look, who's it? It's Ship-it Steve and his favorite phrase, "It worked fine in the lab." Yeah, and I once won an argument with my teenager, but let's talk about things that actually matters in the real world. Can I just validate it next week? The CEO wants to ship today. I sense a disturbance in the validation force. Let me tell you a horror story. It starts with, "We'll validate it later," and ends with, "Why is the FDA parked outside?" The stages of validation: regret, denial, just a small change, bargain, maybe they would notice, panic, where are the validation records, depression, I should have become a YouTuber, acceptance, hello FD? Yeah, we'll recall everything. Let's break down the 3 pillars of validation, or as I like to call them, the holy trinity of not getting your butt kicked by regulators. Installation qualification. It's just trying to be clear. It's not just plugging it in and crossing your fingers. And yes, you need to check every utility connection. No, your maintenance guide thumbs up isn't a documentation. Operational qualification. You should have tested every parameter, not just the ones that you make product look good. And yes, you need to test the alarms, all of them. Performance qualification. Real conditions, real materials, real operators. Sorry, Bob from accounting can't fill in. Real documentation. Your coffee-stained napkin notes doesn't count. Bad validation. It worked 3 times in a row, ship it. Good validation. Here is our statistically significant sample size, worst-case scenario testing, and a validation protocol. Thicker than your ex skull. Once again, things that don't count as validation. Crossing your fingers, hoping really hard, that one time it worked perfectly, your gut feeling, but we've always done this way. Can you show me your validation records? The dog ate them versus good company. Which part would you like to see first? Here's the thing about validation. It's like, we're in pants. Sure, you could go without it, but it's probably illegal. And someone is definitely going to notice. The consequences are uncomfortable. your don't mess this up validation checklist, proper protocols before testing, statistical rationale for sample sizes, worst case scenario testing, clear acceptance criteria, actual documentation, independent review, change control. Because changing things mid-validation is like changing lanes with your eyes closed. See this production line? Running smooth as a butter. You know why? Because someone spent weeks validating every single step while their boss breathed down their neck asking, "Is it done yet?" So please don't treat validation just like another paperwork. It's your insurance policy against chaos. I know it's extremely boring, but you know what would be worse? It would be explaining to the FDA why your process is about as consistent as a weather forecast. Once again, the cost of proper validation: time, money. The cost of skipping validation: your company's future, possibly your career and mental health. Speaking of things that keep quality managers awake at night, wait until you hear about mistake number 5. Playing catch up with regulations. Everything's quiet, too quiet, then suddenly, breaking news: FDA announced new guidance document. Oh yes, nothing gets the blood pumping like finding out your entire quality system needs an overhaul because you've been living under a regulatory rock since 2018. After all, who needs a coffee when you have pure panic? We changed everything. Hope you've been keeping up. By the way, this is effective yesterday. Let's look at a typical year in regulatory updates. January, minor updates. March, just a few clarifications. June, complete paradigm shift. September, remember everything you knew? Forget it. December, surprise, here's 500 pages of flight holiday reading. Company A has a regulatory intelligence team monitoring system update protocols. Company B, we'll deal with it when they audit us. Good regulatory practice. Morning, check regulatory updates. Afternoon, plan implementation. Evening, sleep soundly. Bad regulatory practice. Morning, ignore updates. Afternoon, more ignoring. Evening, stress it while Googling, can FDA shut down your company? Yes, they can. Why do we need a regulatory team? Remember that one update we missed? Okay, when can they start? Your don't get caught with your pants down system. Monthly monitoring. FDA website. EU MDR updates. Industry association. That one LinkedIn guy who posts every update instantly. Impact assessment. Not just, does this affect us? But how badly does this affect us? And can we still afford the holiday party? Implementation planning. Gap analysis. Find out how far behind you really are. Resource allocation. Yeah, you need actual people for this. Timeline development. No, eventually it's not a timeline. Budget planning. Here's the thing about regulatory updates. They're like taxes. You can ignore them for a while, but eventually someone is coming to collect. And trust me, the FDA interest rates are way worse than IRS. Also, depending on your go-to-market strategy, just keeping up with FDA might not be enough. We got Europe's gift to insomniacs, Japan's regulatory puzzle box, China's regulatory Great Wall, and about 190 other countries who all want something slightly different. So the right way is the dedicated regulatory intelligence team, systematic monitoring process, regular impact assessment, proactive implementation, actually reading those 500-page guidance documents. The wrong way, thinking maybe they won't notice, finding out about updates from your competitors, learning about new requirements during an audit, using regulatory surprise as your business strategy. Friends, I just want to be clear, this isn't just paper pushing. This is your company's survival guide, because nothing says we're in trouble quite like an FDA investigator saying, "Did you see our update from last year?" Please remember, regulatory updates are like birthdays. They're going to happen whether you're ready or not, but unlike birthdays, ignoring them won't just make you feel old, it will make you feel unemployed. Invest in regulatory intelligence like you invest in coffee. Regularly, generously, with the understanding that without it, everything falls apart. Speaking of things falling apart, let's talk about mistake number 6. Hey, don't just watch, execute. Hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and leave me a comment below. Follow me, let's build something that matters. Sloppy documentation. Oh no! Quick, call search and rescue. Bob from quality is buried somewhere under 2019 batch records. You know what keeps auditors up at night? No, not monsters under their bed. It's documents that look like they've been used as a coffee coasters during a hurricane. Can you show me the design history file for this device? Sure, it's somewhere in this 47 banker boxes. The 7 deadly sins of documentation. Coffee Stain Chronicle. The I'll file it later never-ending story. The Trust Me I Remember tragedy. The which version is current mystery. The someone must have signed it saga. The It's Here Somewhere epic. The My Dog Ate the Validation Protocol fantasy. Stone Age documentation. Sticky notes that lose their stick. Handwriting that looks like a seismograph reading. Filling system based on pile height. The infamous I'll remember where I put it method. Versus Space Age documentation. Electronic quality management system. Automatic revision control. Digital signatures that don't wash off. Storage functions that actually work. And this is how you document a change. Can I just write this stuff like my last job? Bad documentation be like, change something important-ish, date knows what happened, we'll fill in details later, date sometime this week, signature. Good documentation be like, what? Detailed description. Why? Justified rationale. When? Actual date and time. Who? Legible signature. How? Step-by-step procedure. Evidence. Attached data, photos. Why electronic systems are your BFF? No more the dog ate my batch record. No more archaeology degree needed to find documents. No more, oh, that filing cabinet. Automatic audit trails. Because people like, computers don't. Things you don't want to hear during audit. I'm sure it's in one of these boxes. We documented it mentally. The last person who knew about this retired. Would you believe our printer ran out of ink for a year? Listen, I know documentation is about as exciting as washing paint dry in slow motion. But once again, I can tell you what is less exciting. It's explaining to the FDA why your document control system is based on post-it notes and prayer. Modern documentation miracles. Electronic signatures, no more paper cuts. Automatic version control. Goodbye, final, really final version 3 doc. Audit trails, because who did that? Should it be a murder mystery? Searchable records. Find things in seconds, not centuries. Automated workflows, because nobody likes plain chase the approval. Cost of good documentation. Time, money, effort, software licenses. Cost of bad documentation, your market approval, your reputation, your job willing to live. Another comparison for you, in my opinion, documentation is like underwear. Nobody wants to talk about it, but kinda everybody needs it, and it better be clean when someone decides to check. Sleep soundly, knowing your documents are findable, legible, current, complete, and not being used as emergency coffee coasters. Speaking of things that keep quality managers tossing and turning, let's talk about mistake number 7. Lazy quality control. Ah yeah, the check it in the end and pray method. About as effective as trying to unburn toast by scraping off the black bits. Do you know what is more expensive than a good quality control? Right, bad quality control. And therapy. Lots of therapy for CEO. Looks good enough. It was not, in fact, good enough. Why are we having so many failures? Well, if we look at our process data, never mind, just inspect harder. The 3 H's of quality control. If it looks good, ship it. Let's check every third one. Statistical process control, real-time monitoring, predictive analytics, and caring from quality who can smell a deviation from 3 buildings away. Reactive quality, find problem, panic, blame someone, fix symptom, repeat next week. Proactive quality, monitor process, catch trends, fix root causes, prevent problems, actually sleep at night. The don't be an idiot quality control system. Real-time monitoring, not just watching numbers scroll by, actually understanding what they mean, setting smart alerts, not crying wolf every 5 minutes. Responding before things go boom. Statistical process control. Control charts, not just pretty lines. Capability studies, trend analysis, action limits. The 5 whys, real version. Why did it fail? Out of spec. Why out of spec? Process variation. Why variation? Temperature fluctuation. Why fluctuation? HVAC issues. Why HVAC issues? Bob from maintenance is still mad about the holiday party incident. Good quality control. Process monitoring, data analysis, root cause investigation, corrective action, preventive action, continuous improvement, actually fixing things. Modern quality tools, inline sensors, vision systems, data analytics, process controls, and most importantly, people who know how to use them. Here's the thing about quality. It's like deodorant. If you only check it at the end of the day, you already failed. And my favorite part here is the cost of quality prevention, equipment, training, monitoring systems. Cost of quality failure, recalls, reputation, legal fees, LinkedIn premium to find a new job. Real quality control looks like continuous monitoring, process understanding, quick response, root cause analysis, actual solutions, documentations. Yeah, we are back to that again. Quality isn't a department, it's everyone's job. And if you think quality control is expensive, try calculating the cost of poor quality. Spoiler alert, it's a little bit more than your annual coffee budget. The quality dream, stable processes, capable equipment, trained operators, clear procedures, real-time data, 0 surprises. Speaking of surprises that nobody wants, let's talk about mistake number 8. Being casual about cleanroom rules. You're probably wondering how this person managed to get fired. So am I. Oh yeah, that's my favorite topic. Let me tell you about clean rooms. They are not called, for some reason, as mostly clean rooms or cleanish rooms or Sam's idea of clean rooms, right? They are clean rooms, capital C, capital lean, capital room. Things I've actually seen in clean rooms. Someone fixing their makeup, a half-eaten burger, phone conversations through the mask, scratching under the bunny suit, and my personal favorite, the 5-second rule doesn't apply in the clean room, Carl. And this is why we follow protocol. Can I just no? What if I also know? Even during, especially then. Don't rush, don't bring forbidden items, don't reuse disposable garments, don't forget hand sanitization. Don't think the rules don't apply to you. Proper cleanroom entry. Remove jewelry, and yes, your wedding ring isn't sterile, Karen. Don't base garments. Put on boots. Apply face mask. Over your nose, yes, over. Put on hood. All hair covered. Don gloves. Both layers, not optional. Final inspection. No, you don't look fat in this suit. Listen, I know cleanroom protocol feels like overkill, like wearing a snowsuit to check the mail. But you know what's really overkill? Having to recall products because someone thought scratching their nose real quick wouldn't really matter. The consequences are serious, let me remind you. failed batch, investigation time, corrective actions, preventing actions, lots of paperwork, even more meeting, and explaining to your board why money grew wings and flew away. Now the right way. Follow protocols exactly, no shortcuts, no exception, no but what if, just this once, nobody will know. To sum it up, Cleanroom is like Vegas. What happens there actually affects everything. And there's always someone watching. But unlike Vegas though, what happens in a cleanroom goes straight to your quality records. Your cleanroom should be cleaner than your conscience, more controlled than your mother-in-law's dinner parties, better documented than your ex's faults. Fine, enough, I got it, enough. Let's talk about mistake number 9. Winging it with changes. This is Bob. Bob's about to make what he calls a tiny adjustment. Bob about to learn why change control exists. You know what the road to FDA warning letters is paved with? I tell you, it's minor changes that somebody thought wouldn't matter. Sorry for the spoiler alert, they all matter. I just changed one line of code. Did you submit a change control? It was just one line. That one line took down the entire system. It's just a small change, butterfly effect. Minor tooling adjustment, slight dimensional change, assembly issues, product failures, angry customers, FDA audit, LinkedIn profile update. Bad change management. I'll document it later, nobody needs to know. What can go wrong? It's like Friday at 4:55 p.m. Good change management. Risk assessment, impact analysis, documentation, review, approval, validation, implementation, monitoring. Who approved this change?
Oops.
Who made this change? Why is our product now singing show tunes? The change control golden rules. Everything goes through change control. Even if it's obvious, even it's urgent, even it's temporary, even it's Friday and you want to go home. Risk assessment first. What can go wrong? What will go wrong? What nobody thinks will go wrong but definitely will. Impact analysis. Product performance, manufacturing process, quality system, regulatory compliance, your stress levels. Proper change control steps. Proposal, not a post-it note. Risk assessment, not I'll probably be fine. Review, not just your work buddy. Approval, not retroactive. Implementation, validation, not optional. Monitoring, not set it and forget it. Here's the thing about changes. They're like tattoos. They might seem like a good idea at 2 a.m., but maybe run it by someone else first. Top famous last words in manufacturing. Just a small change. Nobody will notice, we can document it later. I've been doing this for years, trust me, I know what I'm doing. What's the worst that could happen? What change control actually looks like. Detailed description, technical justification, risk assessment, implementation plan, validation protocol, training requirements, monitoring plan, about 45 signatures. This pen needs change control. This screw, change control. This thought you have about maybe changing something, believe it or not, change control. Your change control system should track everything, force people to think, prevent Friday afternoon improvements, make every engineer document his brilliant ideas, keep your quality system from becoming a modern art installation. Change control is your insurance policy against chaos, and unlike your car insurance, this one actually needs to work when things go wrong. The change control dream. Everything documented, everyone trained, nothing exploding. And now for our final countdown catastrophe. Mistake number 10. Ignoring what happens after lunch. Yeah, the victory party. Too bad nobody's watching. The compliant inbox filling up faster than a punch bowl. So you launched your product, congratulations! Now the real fun begins. And by fun I mean the part where you find out what your device actually does in the wild. The 4 stages of post-market denial. It passes all our tests. Users might be doing it wrong. That's not supposed to happen. Oh no. Bad post-market monitoring. Compliant box uses as a lunch toast. Feedback filed under maybe later. Social media reviews treated as science fiction. User suggestion treated like letters to Santa. Good post-market monitoring includes real-time compliant monitoring, trend analysis, user feedback integration, proactive field monitoring, actual improvements based on data. Users love it. According to what? Oh, my mom said it's great. The Don't Be Stupid post-market toolkit. Compliant monitoring, not just counting them, actually reading them, understanding them, doing something about them. User feedback channels, customer service, field representatives, social media monitoring, user surveys, clinical follow-ups, that one angry user who writes novels in your inbox, data analysis, failure trends, usage patterns, performance metrics, user satisfaction, real-world effectiveness, things you never thought could go wrong, but they did. What do you think users do? What users actually do? The instructions were more like guidelines. I'm sure I can do this too. Who needs calibration? Manual? You mean coaster? The feedback circle of life. Launch product, collect data, analyze trends, make improvements, update product, repeal until retirement or nervous breakdown. Proper compliant handling. Immediate acknowledgement. Decent investigation. Root cause analysis. Corrective action, preventive measures, regulatory reporting, design improvements, lots of documentation. Surprise! This complaint, gold. This angry email, platinum. This user who've been calling you every day, this is just better than the focus group. Turn feedback into design improvements, process updates, training revisions, documentation changes, better instructions, happier users, fewer gray hairs. What you should track: compliant rates, failure modes, user satisfaction, performance metrics, field performance, actual versus intended use, things that make engineers cry. Post-market supervision is your early warning system. Ignore it and you might as well be driving blindfolded while texting. The post-market dream: happy users, fewer complaints, continuous improvement, legal department sleeping peacefully, quality team not stress eating. So there you have it, the top 10 mistakes in medtech manufacturing. I'm begging you, please learn from them, avoid them, and maybe, just maybe, you'll make it through launch without needing a therapy. Think of it in the following way: the quality, not just another department, it's like your lifestyle. Documentation is your friend. Changes need control. Users will surprise you. And somewhere out there, an FDA auditor is watching you. Got questions? Or you need help? Maybe you just want to share your medtech horror stories? You know where to find me. Bottom line, most of these mistakes happen when companies try to move too fast, or they're trying to cut corners to save money. But if we're talking about medtech, doing things right the first time is always way cheaper than fixing problems later. And also, let's not forget, we are making stuff that affects people's health, people's lives. That's a responsibility, and we need to take it seriously. All I can ask now is just please take it from someone who's been there. Focus on building quality into every step of your process. Keep your documentation tight and never stop learning from your mistakes and others' mistakes. That is how you stay ahead in this game. I'm Voronkova and I'll see you in the next video.